Hey, I hope everyone's doing well. My name's Tristan. It's been a little bit since I've done a YouTube video, but I've been thinking about coming back for a while, and I just finally found the motivation kind of randomly tonight because I was thinking about philosophy, and I'm always thinking about philosophy, and I'm always further developing the way that I see the world, but I just reached a point tonight where I said, you know what, I kind of want to talk about this and share it with my YouTube channel like I used to. So, I'm not going to overthink it or make it some big planned out thing because I don't want to deter myself from doing it. So I'm just going to get right into this. I'm going to treat it like a live stream even though it's not. So, I I was thinking about the concept of freedom and morality, and if those two things are incompatible. So I was um I was trying to envision something that made sense in my head, and what I realized is that the real root of it, at its core, the question that we should be asking is, what is our role in nature? I don't think a spider really has to wonder. It just builds a web and catches bugs and eats them. A bird just builds a nest and then brings worms to its babies. I mean, these things just happen. There's no overthinking required. So, what is the real detriment of the human experience? I would say it's overthinking. Um, we do have the ability to overcomplicate things, and uh, we don't always fully even understand what it is we're even doing when we do it. It's like we have just enough intelligence to separate ourselves from the natural process of things, like giving a spider just enough intelligence to question if it should be building a web, but not enough intelligence to understand that the answer is yes, it should be building a web. So it just stays in that weird state of like, wait, what am I doing? And then it doesn't know what to do. That would be kind of sad to watch, but that's basically what it is to watch humans. Um, we're all very confused and lost. Everybody says they want freedom, but nobody knows what to do with it when they have it. So, what we actually want is to be told what to do. We want someone to give us directions, tell us how to live our lives, and then that creates a predator and prey dynamic where the people who don't have that same inclination to need to be told what to do, a picture like a rich little kid who grew up spoiled, given everything he wants, he's not going to care. He doesn't want to be told what to do. He thinks he can just write his own story and do whatever he wants, and he doesn't care who he has to step on to get what he wants. So, like a little sociopath, he is going to climb up to the top and step over people's heads. And then the other type of person is going to let him do it because he's telling them what to do and they want to be told what to do. So we have this weird dynamic where there's the people who are taking advantage of others and the people who are being taken advantage of. Um, and what's so interesting is that the people who are being taken advantage of seem to have zero awareness of what's even happening to them. It really feels like they want it. Um, and it's interesting when you step back and you analyze it from a psychology perspective because I think the reason that people want it is because, excuse me, it's because it's in our nature to just want to be in the flow of things. We don't want to be lost. We don't want to be that bird just standing there looking at the sticks and going, should I build a nest? I don't know. Can somebody tell me what to do? We want to be able to just know what it is we're supposed to do, but we have just a little bit too much of an ability to overthink that we ruin that for ourselves. So we have that same desire, but we don't know what to do with it. So we just look for direction from anywhere that we can get it. And then people come in and say, I have the answers. I can tell you what to do. And they won't tell you to build a nest. They'll tell you to build a house for them. They'll do something that's beneficial to them, and then you become a servant to them. Um, so do you see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm getting at? that's why this is a problem. So we need to start figuring out where we actually fit into nature, what our role actually is. Um, I think that we forget that in nature, things are a little bit more morally ambiguous. I could take the example of how, again, with like birds and worms, what's good for the little baby bird is not good for the worm that is being dropped in its mouth. What's good for a spider isn't good for the fly that's being wrapped in a little cocoon. I don't know what you call it. They do something to it and then suck the blood out. It's pretty gruesome. And you could look at that as a human and say, that's disgusting, that's immoral, that's horrible. But it's just what the spider does. It's part of what it means to be a spider. Um, and it's not good for the fly, but if the fly went free, then the spider wouldn't eat, and the spider would die. And if there were no spiders, there would be far too many flies for anything sustainable. They'd just be all over the place. Um, so we have this problem where when we overthink, we forget that we're part of a bigger system that is it's just what it means to be on Earth, to be part of the universe. There are things that are just sort of happening. Um, and when you overthink, you separate yourself from that system, and then you end up doing nothing. And you could become a threat to that system. Like, you could become something that is like a broken cog, and then what happens? You get kicked out. Um, you can't just sit around doing nothing. Um, so you have to actually figure out where it is that you belong. So for humans, um, I guess what that would look like is being a little bit more conscious of where they're putting their energy and how they're able to um, give back to the earth resources, not just taking and consuming all the time. I also think that there is something really powerful about unity, um, just humans coming together and linking arms and standing up for a common goal, something that they all want. Just this sense to be connected. I think that's something that you can find in pretty much every animal species is this desire to be part of a bigger system, to feel connected. And we have that. We very much obviously have that. So the truth is, we don't want to be taken advantage of. We don't want to wake up and realize that there are people just sucking the life out of us. We don't want to wake up and realize that we're a fly in a spider's web. So, why did I bring up the spider and the fly? Let's stick with that example because it's pretty easy to go with. Um, it's an example of something morally ambiguous because there's nothing wrong really happening there, and yet if it were a human trapping another human and killing them, it would be seen as bad. So, why is that? Well, I think we need to realize that, what's good for one person isn't always good for another person, and vice versa. It's just a question of what can we live with and what do we really want. The question that you should be asking yourself isn't what does a higher power want? What does an authority figure want? What is being asked of me? The question you should be asking is, what do I want? And that's a question most people don't really sit with enough. I think that we sometimes are a little too driven by our instincts, and we forget to realize that we are a little more complicated than just an animal going about its business. We have the capacity to regret, to, like I said, overthink, and while it can be a curse, it's there for a reason. It's just a question of if you're using it right. So, the ability to overthink is part of what gives us the upper leg. We don't have to just kill a fly and wrap it up and drink its blood. We can we can stop and think, do I have other options? is there another way for me to survive? We can even choose to sacrifice ourselves sometimes because we care enough about someone or something else. Um, and that empathy is something that I believe we do actually value. Um, and if everything else was removed from the equation, all the complexities of life, everything that makes life a struggle, everything that makes it a challenge to survive, was removed from the equation, and it was just you and your desires. Um, you wouldn't have anything to be afraid of. You wouldn't have any reason. Excuse me. You wouldn't have any reason to want to hurt anyone else. Um, but most people just go, go, go. They don't stop and think and face difficult questions like that. Even the spoiled people who step on other people's heads, they are so used to just getting whatever they want. They don't even stop and ask themselves why they want it or what it is they really want. They're just indulging every whim because no one's telling them not to. And that is not teaching them to get in touch with what's at their heart, with who they really are. It's teaching them to just be like an animal, like a predator. And why would anyone want to be that way? What does that do for you? How does that um, fulfill you in any way? It doesn't, because it doesn't allow room for real connection. And there is a lot of science behind the idea that humans value connection. We're emotional. We like having um, attachments with other people. That's why we, much like other animals, we do fall in love and we have relationships, and not just romantic, but we love having connections with other people, friendships, family, all of these things. They are interwoven into our society for a reason. It's not a coincidence. It's it's partially to do with just survival, but it's also just the way that we're wired. It's what we really value, and we cut that out when we decide to become sociopathic in the way we view things and the decisions we make. We may think that we're taking care of ourselves and asking ourselves what we really want, but what we're actually doing is we're enabling something that is not ultimately serving us in the long term. And it's not sustainable either. In reality, um, if you live as if no one else matters, you'll always be alone. And eventually, anything that you acquire through taking advantage of other people will be taken back from you because you didn't earn it. It's just a matter of time, but you will eventually have to pay up. So, like I said, it's just part of that system that's designed that way. So, what is morality? I would say it's just getting in touch with who you really are, what you actually authentically want, and not judging yourself, not judging other people. Um, we we crave to be told what to do. We want to develop systems of morality, whether it be religion or, even something as simple as just be kind to people. But the thing is, we don't even know why we're doing it. We don't ask ourselves where that comes from. And it should just be intuitive. It should just be what you really want to do. Um, and if it isn't what you really want to do, you probably need therapy. It's that simple. Um, because like I said, that's just not sustainable, and I don't believe it's authentic. I think that goes against things that we've studied and realized scientifically about the way that humans are wired, the same way that we can observe in nature other animals and the roles that they play. So yeah, it's about unity and non-judgment. We're too judgmental of ourselves, of each other, and all it does is create these chains that we just cannot shake off. It's like we're chained and we're trying to throw chains around other people because we believe that the chains that bind us would be better for the entire world if everyone was bound by those chains. But it's not true. You don't have to enforce your philosophy on other people, because what you should be doing is asking yourself where that philosophy even came from and if it's even really yours. Everyone's philosophy should be coming from within, not an outside source. So look at those chains around you that you're trying to throw around someone else and ask yourself, where are these coming from? Where is the source? It probably isn't you. It probably isn't coming from within. And maybe you would be doing the same thing. Maybe if you really looked within, you'd find that you wouldn't even change your behavior, but you'd be doing it for the right reason this time. And that makes all the difference in the world. So, yeah, I guess the simplest answer is morality isn't necessarily subjective, but incidentally, um, everyone, I think, just sort of knows the difference between right and wrong based on what they want. It's a little confusing when you put it that way, I suppose, but I think that I've observed human behavior enough to know that there is a common thread underneath it. If you look at history, you look at across all different cultures, there are certain things that everyone seems to crave, and it always has to do with family and connection. And no one really has a culture or any time in history where everyone just says, every man for himself, I'm going to kill everyone, because we'd all be dead if we thought that way. We wouldn't have even made it to where we are today. But there are people like that, and they build empires and they try to conquer society, and they try to enforce chains on everyone. And it looks different across the world, because it's built on different people's opinions and not anything that's actually authentic to who we are in our nature. So, as we evolve and we continue to learn more about ourselves, we're going to learn more about how to live authentically and how to achieve actual freedom. And you can get that idea out of your head that you need chains in order to be a good person. I don't believe that a free person, a truly free person, would ever want to hurt other people. I don't believe that that is in our nature. I think that the only reason we would ever want to do that is if we are not actually thinking, we're simply reacting. There's, primal instincts in there that we're not using our full capacity to understand. And that full capacity should be what's nurtured. People should be made to feel loved and supported and safe. People should not be made to feel like they have to do everything themselves. They have to have a dog eat dog mentality, kill or be killed. Um, I think that that brings us closer to animals than we are designed to be. We are animals, but we have more cognitive capabilities. And like I said, it leaves us with overthinking, which can be a detriment, but it's there for a reason. It's just a question of, are you going to utilize it? So, um, how do you utilize it? I think the answer is just don't just give in to your first instinct and your first urge. Ask yourself why it's there. Try to better understand yourself. And don't let fear cloud your mind. Don't get this idea in your head that you're going to be in trouble, that you're going to be punished, um, because you're safe. You're just as safe as anything else that exists in the world. You have to understand, the same way that every other creature in nature does, that death is just a part of life. Pain is just a part of life. These things are inevitable. There's no getting around them, and it should not scare you or dictate your decisions. You have to be willing to relax and trust yourself to figure it out, and you will. You can't be driven by fear. It won't help you. Those instincts are there to protect you, but only in the heat of the moment. You're not supposed to be constantly basing your decisions off of fear. Um, so yeah, I think hopefully that made sense. Um, I'm not sure how much else there is to say. I think that kind of sums it up. You just have to make sure that you're figuring out who you are and not just doing what's easy, but putting a little extra effort in so that you can get the benefit of it. It'll feel more rewarding to work on yourself, to learn more, to grow, to heal what's unhealed in you. Um, you have these abilities. Why would you waste them? Why would you just act like other animals who don't have those capabilities when you have the ability to do more than that? Why wouldn't you do it? What are you even doing here if not that? So that's a question you have to sit with and ask yourself if you're comfortable with that. And why would you want to be? Why settle is the real question. When you could have more, you could experience more, you could get more out of life. Um, And that, again, is for your own benefit. So, if you had trouble following this, if this didn't make sense, I'd be happy to elaborate in the comments. Just ask any questions, ask for clarification. I think I said everything I needed to say. So I'm not even sure if I could wrap this up in like a quick conclusion summary, but no, I think it kind of said it all. I don't think I could need to summarize anything. Um, so yeah, thank you for watching. Um, I I burp all the time. I'm sorry. Um, I am going to try to be a little more active on YouTube now. I just wanted to get the ball rolling and put something out there. Just to get it out there, just to remind myself what it's like to do this. So, not sure when I'm going to post next, but at least I did something for now. So, thank you. I will see you next time I upload, and I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it was thought-provoking. Let me know what you think. Thank you for watching.